Eat protein like you own in stock at Costco and lift some damn weights. You can't out peptide that.
That's the guy. I want the cool, calm, collected, capable guy showing up if I dial 1-1.
Testosterone makes you more stress resilient.
For the guys who are really adamant about blocking their estradiol and say they do, seem to be the bitchiest about estradiol.
For the right person, it can seriously make you think, damn, I have a second chance at life.
All right. Welcome back. Thanks for joining. I'm joined today with two previous guests that we've had, but want to revisit a few topics and just kind of see how things have changed. Both have been on. It's been like a year or so. First with Mike Belkin of Men's Healthspan, and we've done the How to Be Hard to Kill podcast in the past, where we talked about just all the topics on how to be hard to kill. Justin Groce is joining us back again as well. And I really didn't give you as much credit as I should have the last time. So I'm going to give a little bit of backstory. So Justin basically almost introduced me to all this field of men's health and peptides and thyroid.
Sure.
Yeah, man, I took your Elite MP classes and they're awesome. And it's like, it's like for probably like 6 months, anytime I was working out, doing anything, I was just listening to Justin's courses. And then that kind of bridged over to the TRT and hormone optimization channel, where I saw you collaborating with those guys. And then I went to Silverback from that channel. And so you were kind of pretty integral of really getting me into this space. So I didn't hype you up as much last time. So I wanted to give you.
Oh, well, thanks for the bouquet you sent me last week.
Yeah, give you credit where credit's due.
Beautiful.
But there's a few topics that keep coming around that I want to just kind of roundtable and discuss with you guys. And really the first one, I'm going to get into peptides. Peptides are so hot right now, just feel like anybody and everybody's slanging peptides, and a few topics with them that I want to bring up. The first one is that I'm getting more and more questions on our kids and youth wanting to start these peptides, whether it's retatrutide or BPC 157 or one of the growth hormone secretagogues. And, I can see the parents, why they want to bring them on, because they're getting outcomes and people are doing great with them. But, I'm pretty hesitant and I just don't use them in people under 18. But I want to kind of, are y'all getting similar inquiries, and what kind of responses are y'all getting? Are y'all giving these parents or young kids that are reaching out?
Oh yeah. I think before that too, though, I want to throw out, I also took, I've taken a couple of Justin's courses too, including one of his peptide courses. So we'll keep on that theme too. So nice, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've had a few of them. I think your thyroid course, your peptide course, advanced men's health. So good stuff, man. Good stuff.
All solid.
Same path as Mason here. So thanks for that.
And you've been talking peptides since, I think I took the first peptide course in 2022. So, it's not like these are brand new over the last 2 months, like a lot of people think.
No, a lot of these have been around for 50 plus years, man. A lot of these are old.
Yeah, I was like, if you had already been using them and familiar enough to make a course over them, and that was 2022, and it's like the peptides themselves have been around a long time, just like you said. So,
but yeah, tons of this stuff with the kids, and even some of the parents, and some of it seems well-meaning too, right? So the parents will call, the parents know me, or they've seen me somewhere, and their kids talking about peptides, and they want this in-between thing, like, hey, Junior, I don't want you just going on the internet and buying some crap off the gray market, and we don't know what it is, and there's no supervision. So they figure let's call someone that maybe knows what he's talking about, has some medical background, could maybe do it in a safe way. So it's well intended. But for the most part, the bottom line there is for a teenager, it's mostly just unnecessary. I tell so many of these guys and counsel them, and hopefully they listen to me and don't just say, yeah, okay, grandpa, whatever, and then go buy it somewhere else. But, young, healthy teenager, you already have all this stuff. I tell them, guys my age pay big bucks to get to the hormonal situation you're in right now, or, where your body is now, your recovery abilities, all this stuff. You're never going to be able to recapture this again. Take it for what it is. You're in a perfect natural state and just, run with it. They don't always love that answer, right? Like, is there something else I can do? Everyone else is doing it. My friends are doing it. So there's even more on that. And, but yeah, for the most part, man, they just don't need it. They already have it. They're already there.
Yeah. And that's the honest answer, to be honest. You could pull the sales tactic, which most, I hate to say this, and this is our industry, but most clinics will pull the sales tactic and be like, yeah, let's get them on a $5,000 program. But you know good and well that's just BS. It is that these kids don't need that stuff. I mean, I totally agree, man. I think even a lot of adults who are running 5, 6 things that they're getting from UGLs, 6, 7 plus things. I'm like, is this the new fashion thing that guys, that middle-aged guys do? Is they just brag about which peptides they're doing and how many ice baths they take per day? It's like, but how many times did you go to the gym this week? Oh, once. Okay, but you've ice bathed 4 times since breakfast. That doesn't make sense, man. And so I think, yeah, I think this whole biohacking society is really, it's kind of getting a little out of hand. I mean, you can't out biohack the big levers that you should pull. Which, I mean, obviously you guys are pulling these levers day to day, but get your butt in bed, get 8 hours of sleep easily, treat any hormonal deficiencies, eat protein like it's going out of style, like eat protein like you own stock at Costco, and lift some damn weights. You can't out peptide that. You just can't do that. So, dude, I totally am on 100% on the same page. And even the GH peptides, man, like Sermorelin. I mean, it came out what, 1990 for pediatric growth hormone deficiency. I mean, if your kid truly needs GH or something like that, you'll know. I mean, you will definitely know your kid will short stature, will not be developing like they should. But I mean, otherwise, yeah, man, if you're just a healthy teenager, dude, go exercise, go enjoy life, get good grades, study, sleep like you should, sleep 10 hours a day like you should. That's what you should be doing, man. Don't even worry about injecting a bunch of shit in your body.
Yeah, and I have the same conversation even with the adults, just like that, it's like they're kind of at the tail end of my treatment program with them. It just like you are saying, let's make sure you're exercising, let's make sure that you're getting your protein, nutrition, stress management, that kind of stuff. And they're good adjuncts at the end. They're not supposed to be the whole toolbox of things and try and ride out everything with that and get 12 peptides. It's like really hit the big levers, and then if you're still struggling with sleep or recovery, then they're great. And and this is for an adult though, and then even with like BPC, I don't recommend BPC in isolation. I still recommend sleep, protein, physical therapy.
Yep, physical therapy, man. Boom, right there.
Yep. And that needs to be along with it. But these guys, it's just a funny space. I mean, just yesterday, my guy is literally getting his peptides from his AC guy. And they'll come to
Oh,
me.
really?
Yeah, like his AC guy is slanging peptides, and that's where he's getting them. And I was just gonna ask him, I was like, who's responsible if you get an infection or sterility or heavy metal contaminants or endotoxins? Who's responsible? Because if you get peptides from me, like, and I'm saying this in a negative way, I like peptides, we use them, but if he has a negative outcome and it's something I prescribe,
Who's
so that's
imagine?
my responsibility. I need to manage that, monitor it, treat what's going on. If he gets it from some random guy selling it at the park, there's no responsibility for that, whenever things are bad, if it's misdosed or anything like that. So that's just, and I'm trying not to fear monger it, but that's just the reality. And
It's still a medication with a specific indication, a narrow window. It needs to be monitored. There's safety. Yeah, it's a medication. It's not like, just going and growing something in your orchard and just throwing it around.
Well, some
yeah.
people argue that though too. Like, no, it's not a medication. These are just proteins. They're peptides. It's different. You don't know what you're talking about with your big pharma mindset. You don't even know. It's like, oh man,
It is weird.
the
That is
structure
weird.
the
That part
structure of
it.
something doesn't mean it's not a medication. It's just a different, not even class, because you have classes of medications. Then you have the chemical structure of things. We talking about biologics, or we talking about what are the different cut points there? But people just don't get that. They hear protein and peptide and more natural and safe, and boom, let's go, let's let it rip. Let's sign me up for 10 of them. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
I've had them, they'll come, like, these guys with it, kudos to their sales tactics too. I mean, they're selling 12 at one time. I mean, like, I'm a one variable kind of guy. I like to just kind of pull one thing at a time. But one of the things I've seen is they'll bring me this list of peptides, and if kid you not, I've had them on multiple GH secretagogues, and specifically one ibutamoren and a GLP-1. and they're like, this GLP-1 is not working.
It's not working.
And it's like,
Well, no shit.
bro,
You're
the
doing a
ibutamoren, the MK677 will make you eat the fridge door off at night.
It makes you eat like a teenager, dude. That's what it does. It makes you eat like a
it's like
teenager.
it's like doing a burnout. You're mashing the brake and the gas at the same time with that. You're wondering why you're not feeling right. You're just in the front of your house doing donuts or spinning out. You don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah. Again, they just have use places, and they're great. Use them appropriately, but again, I don't want people to start 10 at a time and try and figure out what's
Nah,
doing
dude.
what.
Yeah.
It's still polypharmacy.
To
Yeah, you're
the to
talking
the
about the important things. Yes, yeah, the big rocks. I tell people, all these other things are the big rocks: your sleep, your recovery, your training, your nutrition. Hormones are in there. They're probably even a big rock, but not as big as those. And then maybe peptides are the sand. We're filling in the cracks for the extra little
Yeah.
things, and those should be targeted interventions like anything else, not just we're not getting 100 pounds of sand just dumping the whole bag over the thing. Like, no, let's fill in some cracks. Let's pick a thing or two, try it, see what it actually does. Because it's nuts. Like you said, BP 157. Somehow that turned into people want to run it all the time now. Like, do you really want all that all the time? Do you want this
It
angiogenesis
wasn't meant to be
24/7,
used all the time.
365? I don't know, man. I don't think you do.
yeah, and
No, they were never meant to be used all the time. It was just like just an adjunct, just
Yeah.
an on-demand, short bolus, few weeks, boom, lay off it type deal.
Yeah.
Back to the kids. I like this is Mike's quote, but it's like spend your money on dates and good food. Get your protein in, get
Hell
good
yeah.
food, and not on peptides. You'll get more out of the date and good food in
Yeah.
Oh
terms
yeah.
of experience.
Hopefully you get a lot more out of it too in other ways.
Well, yeah, I think
You got the date goes
I think of a
right.
teenage guy. I mean, his end goal here is, he's probably trying to attract some girls, get some girls, and that's, just get right to the point, man. Yeah, save your money, get some exercise, take care of yourself, ask the girl out, go out and have some good food, hang out. You need to spend $1,000 on peptides. That's stupid.
Yeah, and even again, this doesn't apply just to kids, but even adults too. I mean, just taking some time and actually doing some training with progressive overload, tracking your calories, just kind of learning to train and eat. And it's boring and be boringly consistent with it. It's nothing that you're going to make huge gains in 4 to 6
Oh yeah.
weeks. Try something for 3 to 6 months and, do it for years, a couple years. And then, if you're kind of maxed out and plateaued and you're doing things well and you've tried a lot of things, then it's great. But I think people really underestimate the progress they can make. They overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in 1 to 2 years. And so again, it's not sexy, and from a sales
It's not
standpoint,
sexy.
it sucks. But it's like be boringly consistent, do the boring stuff, and we
Yep.
can add these on here and there in adults. I don't use them under 18 at all, but just spend some time learning with that. Get a good trainer, speak with a dietitian or somebody who does pretty good. Watch Mike's channel has tons of good nutrition advice along the way, and
Oh yeah.
cycling
Good
and everything.
practical, very practical stuff. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
find somebody like that.
To me, this is like
Yeah. Boring is better, man.
this reminds me of so I'm a teenager in 1990, and walking around, you going through the mall, and there's a GNC and a couple other nutrition stores and a kiosk in the middle with a jack dude, and he's selling all this crap. And I get it. I get the appeal. And now these kids are hit over the head with it on the internet and all this, a lot more advertising than just that. This would just be me seeing it occasionally if you go, you're there getting some new pants or something. Yeah, you get drawn in. You're like, man, this sounds good. This guy looks like he knows what he's talking about. Hell yeah, sign me up. Next thing you know, you're buying a bucket of some stupid crap and has nothing to do with any of it. If you're, a young, healthy guy who's all about getting to the gym and getting that recovery in between and making that slow, steady progress. So yeah, that's the allure, though. I get it. I had one of my you're talking about giving training advice. One of my friend's sons was asking about peptides. The same things like, hey, I'm going to get you on the phone with Mike. So he wanted Retta. This is like a 175-pound 17-year-old. Right, he's playing a lot of basketball. He's
Yeah, it's the last thing
active.
he
Wants to
needs.
start lifting weights. He's been lifting weights for a couple of weeks. He wants Retta and what else did he want? He wanted Retta and a couple other couple other peptides, and there was like Retta and BPC, I think it was at TB500. And I'm going to get jacked and ripped from this. Like, this is not even the right stuff, man. It's like you're already 175 pounds. Like, how much weight do we want you to lose? So we don't need any of this. So, yeah. So basically, I gave him a training and diet program. So he's been hitting it for about, it's probably like 6 or 8 months now, doing really good.
Good for him, man.
But
Yeah.
about a month or two ago, his dad went to the gym with him. He's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go with you." So he gave his dad rhabdo at the gym. His kid's training so hard. The dad hadn't been in a couple of months. He went in there, and his kid's out training him. He's strong. He's like, "Oh man, I better try to keep up." And at one point, he even told the kid, "I think I had enough." And the kid's like, "No, come on, Dad, you got this." So he did it. And he gave himself rhabdo. It's pretty. He called me. He's like, "Man, I'm just not feeling right." He's like, I slept all day. He's like, my blood pressure and my heart rate are up. I was like, so he told me about this training thing. I said, "What does your urine look like? It looks kind of like iced tea." He said, "Dude, we need to get some labs on you." So
Yeah,
sure enough, he had some rhabdo. So, but yeah, this kid, that's not what he needed. He didn't need. I mean, if this kid went on Reddit, what's he going to do? He's going to cut down to what?
Melt away. 155.
What are you going to? You're going to look like a prisoner of war. It's not the look most people are going for. I don't know.
Yeah. And so another thing that kind of transitioning is not a peptide specific, but one of the things that I'm getting a lot more is kind of in the same kind of marketing realm as Enclomiphene. And I mean, I'm not anti-Enclomiphene. I use it occasionally, and we do have some guys who get a good result with it. But I'm getting even a lot of guys in their 60s plus, like, "Hey, I want to do Enclomiphene because it's a more natural route. I'm not ready to commit to TRT yet." And, some even had personal, they've already used it and said they responded well to it. But what is y'all's take on Enclomiphene, and are y'all using it currently?
Yeah. So I mean, rarely, special use case. I have a guy who's, he's worried about fertility right now. Like, boom, we're trying to have kids. My testosterone is low. I feel like crap. I need a bridge to get me there. We're going to get a twofer here. We're going to boost your fertility and maybe get you feeling better for a short period of time. And then after you get the job done with the kid, we'll revisit what we really need to do with your hormones. But as a long-term therapy, just not great. One, it just seems to kind of stop working. People get these mediocre results. They get nice-looking labs on paper, but it doesn't match how they feel when they're on the real stuff and real testosterone. And it's really not that natural. I mean, we're talking about, it's just, it sounds you're boosting your natural production, but you're using this, this drug that was created as a for cancer, and you're using it in this secondary way. So yeah, not a huge fan. Definitely not as an add-on for TRT. You see clinics doing that too. That just makes no sense at all. It just doesn't add up. And then for these older guys, a guy with primary hypogonadism with LH and FSH are already super high. How much higher are we going to crank this thing? Is it really going to even do much of anything? So I think it's not doing a whole lot. So it has its never say never on it, but rarely do I use it.
Yeah, I mean, if the brain is already redlining and the balls aren't listening, I mean, the engine's burned out. It's just not listen to it. That's essentially what it does. Just tricks it tricks your brain into saying, "Hey, the supply's cut short, so make some more." But is that, like you said, man, that's not natural. That's just chemically confusing your brain to tell your balls to do something. But yeah, another thing you have to think about, like the dudes that are, usually around 5th, 6th decade of life, what happens to people's SHBG? The hepatic nuclear factor genes, its activity goes up. It starts driving up SHBG. And those are the guys that have that SHBG that just keeps creeping. And that's just, in Enclomiphene, what's it do? Enclomiphene, those things, those drugs drive up SHBG as well. So, I mean, again, you may crank up the total T, but the SHBG goes up. So, I mean, yeah, they may get a little bit of improvement on paper, but symptomatically, yeah. I mean, I've seen plenty of guys come to us, 1,200, 1,500 on Enclo, and they'll say, "Well, look at my," like they'll show me they're happy with a report card. They'll show me, "Well, look at my numbers. It looks so great." Like, well, why is your Adams score 10 out of 10? That's apparently doesn't matter, dude. Yeah. So I mean, on paper it can do some things, and yet, like y'all both said, and I totally agree with that. There's some specific targeted indications for it in specific circumstances. You're coming off T or a bridge to therapy or deployment. That's your only option. Whatever. Fertility, certain dudes, but overall, I don't think it's the best frontline therapy. And there's some guys you'll get who they're adamant they absolutely will not do TRT, but they want something. So, sometimes they'll trial that for a few years, and then at least everyone I've trialed it with in that sense, they've always said, "Dude, let me try testosterone." And then I tell them, well, you weren't making much in the first place. I mean, if you are worried about shutting off your production, that's why you went this way. Well, I mean, you're shutting off at 200. Is that really shutting anything off? I mean, you're not.
Right.
The quality of life's not there anyway. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on Enclo.
Yeah, the more natural argument, I see that marketing and I see how it can land because they're like, well, it's telling my body to make more, by blocking, estrogen perception in the brain. But I feel like that's a lot of where the benefits come, subjectively, are where you get the increased estradiol levels in the brain from testosterone. And so,
Oh yeah.
and then I'm like, testosterone is already bioidentical, natural. We're just, your body knows what to do with it. We're raising it. That is a much more quote unquote natural route. If that's your pure end goal, is to be more natural, and then all this stuff that people get scared of with testosterone, and clomiphene is worse in terms of clotting factors and the vision changes with enclomiphene. And I think that's just downplayed a lot because they just want it to work. They see their numbers go up, and just kind of like what y'all was saying, I've seen where numbers go up, SHBG rises as well, and so the free testosterone is still equal to where it was, despite a 350 to 700 increase of total testosterone. And I think sometimes the numbers do help in just terms of a placebo, and some guys feel better, but after long-term use, one, it just seems to fizzle out, and two, I just don't like it as a long-term med. It's just not really meant to be long-term, whereas like testosterone, your body knows what to do with it. And it's just, I just think it's much cleaner overall. That being said, in fertility, if a guy's planning to get pregnant, is try and get his wife pregnant in the next 3 to 6 months, that's my kind of use case, to where I won't have to really try and dial in testosterone and then bring in HCG to see how they do. It's like, oh, let's just see if enclomiphene will kind of boost you up for a little bit. And I've had a couple guys do well, and the younger guys, they still have good, healthy testicles. And if you get more signals, they do get a little bit better outcome. And so it's not that
More responsive, sure.
yeah, not that I never use, and just kind of also piggybacking off of Mike, the guys where, I've had guys as well where they're on enclomiphene, on their testosterone, so that nothing ever gets shut down. And anytime I've ever checked LH or FSH on those guys, they're still negative. The enclomiphene is not strong enough. It's not strong enough to overcome that suppressed axis. And so I think that's false, leading people falsely whenever these clinics do put them on both out the gate.
You should do a video on that, showing that, so people have the actual tangible evidence. Because enclomiphene's easy to market, though. I mean, it's literally hands off. You send them a script, see them once or twice a year, boom. There's from the management side, I see why private equity does it. It's easy. You just send in a script, asynchronous visit, and they're done. But you should do a video on that, man, showing the labs of someone on Enclo and TRT and disproving the myth out there that it keeps you intact, it keeps your LH intact. But
yeah, I'll pull the
I think it's a great topic.
Previous ones I did, because I was doing it in the past for my own just kind of curiosity, like whenever I was trying to, really get my protocols and everything solidified, I just kind of run LH and FSH. And that's why I don't do HCG as monotherapy, because it's still suppressive to the gonadotropins as well. And because I was just kind of playing around with it with my guys and just curiosity's sake kind of thing.
Yep.
What else?
I think the whole worry about testosterone is going to shut you down, so clomiphene is better because it's going to keep you running. I mean, you're worried about shutting down a system that's already failed you, though. So what's the big concern? I mean, it's already things are already broken, and also it's going to come
Ain't
back
working, man.
for almost everyone. It's going to come back. You're going to come back to feeling just as crappy as you were before and have the same garbage level probably, or wherever you are on that decline. Wherever that intersects. If you're declining, you
Pretty
come
much pick
back
up
and
where you
maybe a
left
little bit
off,
lower.
which is
Yeah,
still
wherever you
sucky.
were on that journey, so you could always come back to it. So it's not as smooth. It's going to take a few months, but yeah, I mean, you're concerned about you're going to shut down a system that's already broken. I don't understand that. That's a little bit silly.
No, that's a great point because I used to also tell guys, prior to starting testosterone, like, hey, this is a lifelong thing you need to commit to. And I've changed my verbiage on it. I mean, I do still, like, I do think testosterone is a long-term treatment, and doing the stuff along with it, you're going to have better lifetime outcomes. And so still put it as a long-term, if not lifelong treatment. However, whenever they are, hesitant to it, I've now had a lot of guys who have come to me after they stopped testosterone, they moved anything, and their levels bounce back. It's not a permanent, you don't do testosterone for 3 months as a trial and you're shut down for life. It does bounce back. Like Mike said, it takes some time, but it's not a all or nothing out the gate if you want to somewhat trial. I don't trial it much in guys, but just to somewhat reassure that, yeah, if you stop, you'll go back to your baseline of symptoms. And typically, if they're seeing one of us, they're symptomatic and up to a
Hmm.
point where they made an appointment with a clinic to try and improve their outcomes. And so you'll just kind of go back to where things were pre evaluation and treatment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who wants to go back to 250? No one. I'd
Yeah.
rather be 1,000 or 900 versus 250.
I had
And
a
go ahead, Mike.
I had a real interesting case. I think I might have talked about this before too, but the guy, you know, early 30s, not in great shape, had a lot of lifestyle things to clean up, but he just wasn't doing it too, right? So a couple of years of trying, hey, checking labs, and just they're still not improved, but he's overweight, not working out, not sleeping well, stressed, all this stuff. But he's just feeling like garbage. He's like, man, I really want to turn things around, but I need some motivation. So it's tough because sometimes the testosterone causes some motivation, and boom, that kind of sets things off. So that's exactly how it went for this guy. He all at the same time, a lot of changes. Moved, got a new job, started going to the gym, started meal prepping, started testosterone, and just doing awesome. I mean, just visit
Good for
after
him,
visit,
man.
whole
Oh, yeah.
different guy, feeling great, even just sounded more confident. Just things are awesome. Then he had an old lingering knee thing that just really gave out on him. I forget the specific injury, but he needed an orthopedic surgery, and his orthopedist wasn't too happy about him being on testosterone. Because there is some data showing a little bit of a higher chance of clots with orthopedic surgeries, even if the data is not great. So, at any rate, so he comes off the testosterone, does the surgery. Post surgery, he's like, man, I feel pretty good though. I don't feel much different than I did before. He's like, so what do I do? He's like, do I restart the testosterone? Can we, what do we do? So I said, well, if you want, we could check some levels, but I don't know. Symptom resolution is king too. So it's a little bit tricky here. If you're feeling great, you're feeling great, right? So he decided not to check his labs and not to go back on the testosterone. And I told him let's check back in. Let's see how it goes. And it's been another 6 months. I haven't heard back from him. So it's pretty interesting. So it's a case of a guy fixed his lifestyle, and I would have been really curious to see his labs, but I also left it up to him too because I said, hey man, I don't want this to get in your head too. What if it comes back and it's low
Yeah.
normal, and is that going to really push your hand one way or another? So I'll leave it up to you. But interesting, right? Because
Yeah.
it's a case of, man, you can come off it and be okay, and it kind of makes sense. Like other medications, it's like, hey, you're on antihypertensives, we get you in shape, and now your blood pressure is low, so we had to take you off the medication. So with testosterone, it's not gonna. The problem there is you're shut down because you're on the exogenous stuff, so we don't know until you come off. So you don't have that in between thing. But in his case, he had an opportunity to actually try it out, and seemed like it went well. So it was,
Yeah, good for him, man.
yeah, pretty interesting.
Yeah, so kind of on my own personal deal, I started testosterone at like 32, and I was young, and I was symptomatic, night shift in the ER, and I lost like 20, 30 pounds. So I switched from the ER to urgent care and started doing this. And I was not working overnight anymore. I was working out more consistent. Like internally, that was my criteria like, hey, if I'm going to leave the emergency department, I got to put my health kind of first. And so regular schedule, regular workout, lost weight, tried all this stuff, stopped microwaving in plastic, took vitamin D, took all the soaps, shampoos that had all the extra stuff and went, as natural as I could. And my testosterone was still low and I was still symptomatic. So I started it then, and it was, it was just kind of like the clouds parted and this was like, oh, this is what I've been missing. And then so I've thought about, now that I'm probably down since then, I'm probably down 40 pounds while increasing 15, 20 pounds of muscle at the same time. So it's like, I probably could give it a trial, but I'm not going to give it a chance. Like, I like the drive and the forward momentum it just kind of gives me all the time. And I just don't want to take the chance of a decline at this point in my life, to be honest.
Yeah, you don't want to risk suffering for the next 6 to 12 months
Yeah,
just for the sake of finding
so
curiosity.
that's the tough sell. Hey, how do you feel about this potential 6-month detour in your life that might really suck?
Yeah.
Trying to see if you restore over a few months, and then if it didn't work, a few more months to get you back to where you were.
Yeah, because I was going to do it as
sell.
just a personal anecdote to tell guys. I was like, this should be a good,
Be a cool video.
yeah. And I keep thinking, and y'all probably have the same deal. I keep thinking I'm going to be caught up in 2 weeks, and I've been thinking that for the last 4 years. It's like in 2 to 4 weeks I'll probably be
No.
caught up. I'll be able to knock this out a little better. And now I've just realized, like, oh, I'm just always 2 to 4 weeks away, and it's going to stay that way probably for the next decade, if not more.
That's the lifestyle of just doing everything on your own, being an entrepreneur, owning businesses, and being a dad. It's just part of it, man.
Yeah, it's all great. I mean, these are
It's fun.
the golden problems to have. So, I mean, I'm extremely blessed in every aspect.
Oh yeah,
but
bless.
I like the testosterone in the background to help me keep up with all of this every day, all day kind of thing.
Kind of how I started too, man. I started when I was 31. I'm 42 now. And I started when I was in grad school. I was like, dude, I was on Adderall 4 times a day. I was practically non-functioning. I was like, this ain't normal. And mind you, I'd also won some physique, like NPC physique shows. I was Lifetime Natural. So I was like, there's no way it's my testosterone. So I kept putting off checking it. Lo and behold, is 190. I was like, how am I functioning? I was like, no wonder I'm on Adderall 4 times. No wonder I'm a zombie.
Yeah.
I'm a non-functioning adult. I was barely getting by. And my wife was like, dude, you like just a completely different person. Said I was irritable. I was like a little bitch sometimes. Now I'm easygoing. I'm chill. I'm just loving life. Dude, for the right person, it can seriously make you think, damn, I have a second chance at life. That's literally how that's how it's been for me. So I have no reservations about saying that, man. It's been absolutely amazing for me. And I don't care that I started at 31. So what? I'd hate to imagine going another 40 years to my deathbed suffering like that. Imagine it'd only be lower too. It'd probably be in the sub 100 probably by now, or 10 years from now.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you think it was the posing trunks that caused it? Too tight posing trunk?
Probably all the spray tan. Who knows, dude? Honestly,
maybe.
I don't know. Yeah. I never sauced up, never geared up. I mean, I was just naturally just a lean dude, so I get shredded. But that's besides the point.
That's a big component to winning those shows. It seems like the most shredded dude wins.
But you would see me, and I was a trainer in the past. You'd see me, you'd be like, "There's no way this dude's low." But hey, sometimes that's the cards you're dealt, man. And you just roll with it and you just do what you can. You treat it, move on with life.
No, that's super interesting too, because it goes with the, and I've heard a lot of cases like that also too. People think, testosterone and physique always go together directly. I mean, it certainly helps. It helps with recovery and building muscle and all this stuff. But there's a lot of cases like that with dudes that are actually pretty low. You look at some guy like, oh, there's no way that guy's got to have some crazy high natural testosterone. I think it's like 300 or 400. You're like, huh. What's going on there? I mean, you don't know what's happening at the receptor level and all this other stuff too. So there's that part. But yeah, that's interesting, man. That's crazy. That's low.
Yeah, I think Justin had a good point that I like to talk in guys as well. Is it's like the low testosterone state guys are typically more irritable and frustrated and that kind of stuff. And a lot of guys come in, they're scared to they say that testosterone is going to cause roid rage, or their wives are worried that they're going to now be aggressive, or even law enforcement. They've expressed a concern like, hey, would I lose my cool in a situation? And a lot of times it's like, no, it's going to help you with those, be more capable, have more capacity to deal with these things.
Oh
And
yeah.
you're going to just be a more capable adult to handle these difficult situations. And so for the most part, I see guys chill out on testosterone rather than increase their aggression or irritability or anything. Do y'all have similar talks to guys ever with that?
Oh yeah. Yeah. All
Hmm.
all the time. All the time, people are worried because some guys run a little. They already know themselves too, right? They're adults and they know well. They're like, hey man, I'm already kind of on the edge all the time. I don't need something to push me in the wrong direction. So I do have that talk with them. One of the big things I tell them is, when hormones are changing is when you're most likely to be a little more labile. So during the first few months of something, you might feel a little bit up and down. You're going to feel overall better anyway. But, so you keep an eye then. But it definitely makes guys more stable and more cool, calm, collected. Yeah, more decisive. So that's not necessarily doesn't mean aggressive, right? You're just taking care of business. But we saw this came up on one of the forums we go on. Another provider was asking about law enforcement, and they're worried about their liability if they had an officer who's on testosterone and something happens, like like there's some sort of misuse of force, or however they phrased it. So they were worried about treating police officers basically. But I told them, I said, no, I think it's the absolute opposite. I said, that's the guy I want, the cool, calm, collected, capable guy showing up if I dial
Yeah.
911. I don't want some timid, low T guy who's indecisive, and I end up doing the work he should be doing. That's the guy I
Sure.
want showing up. So I don't know, but yeah, it's a big misconception. Definitely, I see more the opposite. Guys are just more chill, cool, calm, collected.
Oh, no doubt, man. I on the same man with especially law enforcement. I tell, and this is what I've heard from a lot of our clients who are in law enforcement too. They all tell me, man, they can handle those stressful
Hmm.
situations, those encounters, those confrontations. They say they can think better with more conviction. They and it makes sense because testosterone makes you more stress resilient. So I mean, stressful situations, hard situations, it makes you more mentally durable. You can handle it a lot better. Your stress capacity goes up. Think of it this way, like, what is something that makes guys irritable? Dick no work, chronically tired, brain fog. You can't be in a good mood when you're chronically tired. But when you get on testosterone, you've got more energy. You can get more stuff done. Who'd have thought that being chronically tired and brain fog and frustrated would make you more irritable? But in fact, I tell guys, look, man, you're going to feel better mentally. You'll feel more at ease. If you have anxiety that's due to the low testosterone, or anhedonia that's due to the low testosterone, that'll abate the next 3 to 6 months. It should improve. But overall, I've actually never had any reports of guys having the quote unquote the roid rage. No, but guys do tell me they're more assertive. Like they won't put up with BS no more. Like
Yep.
they'll go in they won't put up with being unfairly treated at work, or guys won't put up with getting extra crap that they don't need. No, they're more assertive. So I say props to you, man. That's part of being a man. Just you're willing to speak up for other people when there's injustices. That's just part of it.
Yeah, with that, like, I don't use this as like a selling point, but I do feel that overall, the guys that we work with probably make more money overall being on testosterone because of that assertiveness and everything. Man, I couldn't tell you how many guys with their follow-ups are like, yeah, I started a business, on the side, or hey, I finally felt like asking for the promotion. So I felt like I could handle more. So I expressed that, and now I have more responsibility on me. I make more money. I'm handling more people. And so it's like, I see that as a secondary outcome all the time. And again, I'm never going to say, oh, do this and it'll get you a promotion or anything. But man, I see it happen all day with these guys. They come in and tell me about their endeavors of their expanding, promoting, that kind of stuff. And so that is all one of the really fulfilling things. And again, I'm not going to take credit for the work that they're doing, but you can just see a lot of these guys will come in kind of slumped over. They're just not making as much eye contact and follow-ups. you can see the vigor and the life back. You know, they're
Like confidence, man.
yeah.
See,
Yeah.
it's nice to see it, man.
And it
It
makes
brings you a lot
sense.
of
It makes
joy.
sense that they would excel too, right? Because you take a guy who's, he's out of shape, he's fat, and he's not confident, and now you give this guy, he's more decisive, and he's more decisive, he's confident, he has a better physical presence. Now he's not only fat, he looks like someone who's in good shape. That dude walks into the room, man, he's taking care of business. I'm listening to what this guy has to say. So yeah, he's gonna do better for sure.
Yeah, one of the things that even, for me personally, again, I've lost a lot of weight, put on a lot of muscle. A big driving factor is trying to be somewhat of a business card for the business itself. Like I don't want to be 40 pounds overweight walking into the room. I want people to be like, oh, he's kind of done the walk and talk. I mean, I still struggle of being a fat kid. And so that also kind of helps in giving some tips on what works for me and controlling the appetite so I don't eat the fridge door off or eat my face off every night. Because I still have to be conscious and not doing that. But the clinic was a big
Now you're a good
motivator.
extension of your business, man. You are. You're a very good extension of your business.
Thanks. I
You look like
appreciate
you
it.
walk the walk, dude.
I appreciate
No,
that.
you walk the walk, man.
It's been a work in progress. Yeah, and I'll say one of the things that I still get all the time comments wise on online is talking about estradiol management on testosterone therapy. And so I want to kind of bring that up again. It's 2026. I feel like we've been having these conversations again. The conversations I saw Justin having in 2021 were about why estradiol doesn't need to be managed and or blocked or anything. And I still have the same conversations. I'll say in clinic, I don't have these conversations much because I don't check estradiol and I, run appropriate testosterone protocols and can manage their symptoms based off their testosterone protocol. But man, online people are still very married to their estradiol levels. Are y'all seeing this, and what is y'all's view on estradiol management?
Yeah, go ahead, hit it, Justin.
My
So
views on estradiol management. I'm right. I'm sorry. It seems like there's a little bit of delay between the two. My philosophy is probably pretty damn in line with y'all's. Is that estradiol? It's essentially. So let's start with testosterone. Testosterone is, if you look at the scope of testosterone, it's technically a pro hormone, is what it is, and it's a pro hormone to the downstream metabolites. And those downstream metabolites, what the literature has really revealed in the last 20 years is that the downstream metabolites, estradiol, DHT, the vast majority of the benefits of testosterone, it's speculated somewhere at least in the ballpark of 40-50% of the benefits come from those very downstream metabolites of testosterone. You got to think when testosterone converts to those things, those metabolites, they get synthesized in their own respective tissues. So the brain, the cardiac tissue, the skeletal muscle, the bones, yada, 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 all the different tissues have different varying effects and different varying degrees of expression of those different metabolites. So to throw a blanket statement that estradiol is bad, that's assuming that estradiol exists in a vacuum and exerts the same behavior, the same degree, the same ratio in all the different respective tissues, when we know in reality it doesn't work that way. Estradiol doesn't just act like a quote unquote estrogen. In some tissues, it synthesizes tissue, it increases bone density. In other tissues, it acts like a vasodilator. In other tissues, it can help modulate even lipids. Like you think in the brain, the central nervous system, estradiol is responsible for lipidating, lipidating and modulating HDLs, which exist specific. There's certain types of HDLs that only exist within the central nervous system, within the brain. Estradiol is responsible for lipidating those and modulating the behavior of those, so they can help, with reducing amyloid plaques, with preventing tau neurofibrillary tangles. So to think that estradiol in of itself is just a quote unquote women's hormone makes no sense, because again, based on the environment it's in, it has a different function, a different behavior, and it elicits different effects. On a caveat is that, I mean, calling estradiol a woman's hormone doesn't really make sense when women make more testosterone than estrogen anyway, but that's kind of me being a bit tangential. But yeah, I mean, looking at it on paper doesn't really, I know you guys echo this. I'll hear y'all talk about this all the time too. Looking at it on paper, I mean, it's kind of a moot point, really. I mean, because again, what are we going to do? Have samples of brain tissue, heart tissue, skeletal muscle tissue, vascular tissue, fat tissue, and then say, all right, well, maybe we can, do a local transdermal AI in one part, but not the other. No, we can't do that, man. Give yourself testosterone, and your body is going to use it physiologically the way it should. I mean, your body knows better than we do. That's how I look at it. But you can work with biology, but we can't really outsmart it.
Yeah, I see I see more of this online than I do in clinic for sure. Interestingly, online, the guys who are really adamant about blocking their estradiol and say they do seem to be the bitchiest about estradiol. So
Oh yeah.
I think that's kind of interesting and telling. It's like maybe blocking it isn't the best
So
thing. I don't know. You seem pretty upset, and just I thought we were just going to have a discussion here, and you're going bananas and being a little hysterical. So that part's interesting alone, but yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and the literature doesn't show that it's beneficial to block it. They don't block it in the studies that they do showing testosterone's good effects, so it doesn't make a lot of sense. And I think a lot of the confusion too is the crossing over of worlds. You have the bodybuilding world and polypharmacy of PED use and abuse, and those guys are reporting what they're doing, and it's flowing over, and other guys who are doing TRT are seeing that, and they're equating the things, and it's not the same thing. Just TRT testosterone at TRT dosing. Just you don't need to manage estradiol. You just don't. You really don't. I even have some. I like to know what people are doing and what my patients are talking about and what they're hearing. So I even have a couple of shows I'll listen to with some steroid coaches talking about stuff. And these guys specifically say we don't worry about estradiol at TRT doses. So these guys will do, they'll do their blast cycle or whatever it might be, high dose stuff, and then they want to do a health phase, they'll call it, bring it down to TRT or
oh yeah.
TRT plus. And TRT to them, they're talking about, it's like 300 milligrams a week, so some amount that no one's really prescribing anyway. And these
Yeah.
guys will specifically say, but it's on your TRT cruise dose, we're not really worried about estradiol. So these guys aren't worried about it. And so for you to be worried about it when you're taking 140 milligrams per week is a little bit silly. It's just not. It's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. And like Justin said, measuring it just doesn't do anything. I measure mine and talk about it publicly just to kind of see occasionally, and sometimes it's crazy high. I've had anywhere between like 60 and 130, and I feel fine. Right? I mean, I'm not crying at watching seeking Lifetime TV or going shoe shopping or getting extra weepy. I think it's really okay. I don't really have I don't need to make a trip to Turkey for a gyno surgery. Everything's good and fine. I did have this is interesting though too. So just this morning before I said I don't usually see it in clinic. Just this morning, one of my guys sent me an email though and said this guy's been on treatment with me for a couple of years, stable dosing. I need to talk with him to see what the whole story is. But he said, hey man, I'm feeling kind of bloated. The last clinic I was with before you used to give me a brown pill. Can you prescribe something for me? I forget what it was. So,
Oh, that helps.
yeah. So I'm guessing. So I did a quick. I was like, man, is an Anastrozole brown? So I guess it can come in a brown. Who knows, right? Depends who's making the thing. So I don't know. I don't know what he's looking for. I really hope it wasn't an Anastrozole and that's what he wants. But it's kind of, yeah. I
I'll
don't
still
know.
get
If he's been with you 3 years and he's just now bloated, it's not testosterone. Let's be real. It's
yeah.
probably it could be anything. He could have had a bender.
Yeah,
Who knows?
we need to have a talk. We need to have a talk. But I guess he was hoping, hey, there's a quick fix. I'll just email him and I'll get this magic pill. So we'll see what shakes out there.
It kind of transitions into the conversation of estradiol being the scapegoat for any negative outcomes. You can just attribute
Sure.
it to estradiol, and honestly hormones kind of get the scapegoat treatment for anything and everything as well. We get guys reaching out, like, hey, I've increased dandruff. Is this because of my testosterone? I have this weird rash that I've had for years that comes and goes and it came back. Is that my testosterone? Like, just
Right.
tons of. I stubbed my toe the other day. Was that? Do you think that was because my hormone levels, or it's kind of all over the place? But sometimes it's talking about off of that, and then the estradiol. Sometimes it does. Expose a couple things. Like maybe it is that they are drinking too much alcohol at night. Maybe it's like, hey, your body fat is 35%, and we kind of need to start working on this. Instead of prescribing you an anastrozole, you're going to do better with smaller, more frequent injections of testosterone, or we need to get you exercising to mobilize your fluid because you're got some water retention. Or maybe it's even at the point where we need to do an ARB or a low dose diuretic to get the fluid off, but it's not need you're not needing anastrozole for this. And I've had guys come with, like, I mean, 1 milligram 3 times a week, and they feel awful, and it's like, oh, I don't even know. That's worse than an estradiol less than 5 is going to be worse than your testosterone of 100, just because you're going to feel pretty dang like garbage on it.
Yeah, and the guys, and back to the, the bodybuilder tie-in here to kind of probably set all this stuff off. The guys who do use anastrozole close to contest time to get that dry look and really crash their estradiol, it's a temporary thing, and they feel awful. They can't wait to get off it. Their joints hurt, their dick doesn't work, they just feel like shit, and they're like, this is crazy. But it's all for, one specific moment on stage, and they're going to get off it. That doesn't mean you're going to try to live your whole life like that. It just doesn't make any damn sense. It's crazy.
No, and also, I mean, they say that they use that to dry off, but they fail to mention that they're on furosemide,
Oh, sure.
Winstrol on top of that.
Right.
They're on Lasix 3 times a day. No, it was the estrogen that did it. It wasn't the Lasix.
That
4
too.
times a
That
day.
too.
Yeah.
And then and same thing too. Some of these coaches too will say, "Hey, man, if you came into your contest prep properly, you don't need that anyway. This is like a backup plan for a lot of them. Like, oops, something went off track here, and we were trying to throw some pharmacology at it to fix some diet issue that happened 12 weeks ago or whatever it might be. So it's nuts."
What about DIM? I mean, it's not an anastrozole, and it's just real mild. Are y'all using DIM on y'all's patients if they want some sort of estrogen modulation?
I'm not. Actually, so years ago, I started. You guys were talking about when you started. I was 40 when I first noticed a dip in my testosterone. I saw, I checked it a few years earlier, and it was in the 800s or 900s, and then all of a sudden now it's like 302 or something stupid for my total. So anyway, initially I was on Clomid initially, and part of the protocol was like, hey, we want you on DIM because it's going to raise estradiol and all this stuff. So I actually have taken it myself. I think it's probably not doing a whole lot of harm as compared to something like anastrozole. But there's some interesting stuff out there. I don't know. I don't think it's something you need to use. I'm trying to remember one of the studies I saw too. Is it actually blocking? Was it blocking intratesticular testosterone? There was something too. I'll have to dig up and see what it was. It was not something you want to happen, right? There was way more than like, hey, we're just gonna help your body eliminate some estradiol. There were some other things under the hood that weren't so great. So I'm not a fan.
Yeah, it does block androgen receptors from what I recall. DIM actually does have some negative effect on that. So, I mean,
Yeah, I
that
think you
kind
know
of
what?
defeats the purpose, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're
you want to
right.
block estrogen, but you're also blocking androgens. I mean, it kind of just blocks a little bit of the sex hormones in general, really. So, I mean, it was popular in the 90s as an estrogen blocker, but literature in the last few years have really shown, well, it has a negative effect on your androgens too. So, yeah, I'm right there with you, fellas. I don't really see any need for it, man. I think getting testosterone dialed in, getting the foundation dialed in, the nutrition, the lifestyle. There's nothing that beats that. There's just I always stress that to patients, and for new people that are looking for a quick fix, it really turns them off to our consults. You can find out real quick that they're just looking for a script. That's it. They don't come back. So, but that's a good way of screening out people who actually need treatment or not.
Yeah. One of the other things in the kind of TRT world, I get some guys that come to me and they're like, hey, my doctor said that I need to donate blood every 8 weeks while I'm on testosterone. And, sometimes I'll get their hematocrit back and they'll be 51. They'll be like, oh, I'll go donate blood. And I'm kind of like, hey, hold the horses. Like, I don't want you to feel like you have to donate because you're on testosterone. Of course, I don't want to discourage for the benefit of the community. If you're doing it for just reasons like that, you want to benefit the community. I worked in the ER. We needed blood all the time. So I don't want to discourage that. But, blood dumping and blood donation is not 100% benign, and so I check ferritins and I monitor ferritin levels, and it can correlate to the guys who are on treatment and they're still kind of complaining of fatigue, or they're not getting the results they thought. Their ferritin, it will be 15, and I'll be like, well, are you donating blood or anything? And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it every 8 weeks. And they're like, well, I didn't tell you to do that. And they're like, oh, I just thought since you had to be on testosterone, you had to do it. But
Yeah, my
how
friend
are
does it. My friend at the gym heard I was on TRT and he asked about the donation and he's doing it. So I started doing it.
Yep.
Like, what? I wish you would have
Yeah.
checked with me on this, man, because now it's going to take a year to get your ferritin back to where we need it to be.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is tough to get it back. It's a slow burn on getting it back. And so,
Oh
I'll
yeah.
I'll have them not donate. Some just like to do it for the community, and I'll tell them like, hey, I want your ferritin at 70 before I'll let you donate. I'm not gonna want you donating at 30. But are y'all seeing that a lot? And do y'all have a specific threshold for blood donation, or how do y'all view hematocrit management?
Yeah, I think I think that's a good one because where is that threshold? Because so with folks with other conditions or other reasons to have high hematocrit, no one gets real excited and wants them to donate. If you have COPD, or you have obstructive sleep apnea, and your hemoglobin hematocrit are running high, your doc doesn't say, oh, let's have you donate. I'm so worried you're going to have a clot. They say, no, I want you to wear your damn CPAP, man, or let's get you a better mask, or right, let's have you lose some
Sure.
weight. They don't get too excited about that. And even looking through some of the literature about, hey, what's a dangerous hematocrit? Where do we worry about it? Some of the guidelines say 54%. But they're being really conservative. And I think part of that is because, testosterone is viewed as a lifestyle treatment. It's not a necessary treatment. And we're giving you some add-on thing that's an elective thing, pretty much. And do we want to do anything bad to you at all? So we don't want to see anything come out of range. Nothing weird. No big risks. There's really not a lot of situations in medicine where they want you to donate. I think there was something with some, hypoxic heart failure condition where they said, hey, if you're over 65%, maybe we need to start looking at doing this. Even then, they're talking about maybe. So it's not. There's no hard stop. I mean, I don't want to see a guy walking around at 65%. And actually, you have, like you guys, I have other providers send me questions and ask me for advice on things. So this is an interesting case to throw out there. So the provider sends me a message like, hey, I just got some labs back on my patient. Hematocrit is 65.8. Hemoglobin is 19.1. Guys on 200 milligrams of topical cream transscrotally, 2 clicks in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. This is his first set of labs back. He feels fine. What do I do? Do I stop his medication? Do I have him donate? What do I do here? So I thought that was pretty interesting. But what would I'd like to hear what your.
Where's he live? That my first question is where does he live?
It's a good question,
What's
right?
his
So
BMI? Where does he live?
He lives at some elevation in Wyoming. He's been there.
That's my first question is always, where's he live?
He's been there
What's
a
his
long-
BMI? How much cardio is he doing?
He's been there a long
That's
time.
always my
Exactly.
triad.
So I asked, these are the questions I asked too. I said, what's this guy look like? And I always like to ask this question in multiple ways because, instead of just saying, hey, is this guy in good shape? Is he fit? Like, yeah, he's in pretty good shape. No, I said, is he fit?
That's very
Is he fit? Does he exercise?
subjective.
What are what's his height and his weight? Because I want to hear his dimensions and see what we're talking about, right? So yeah, he's in pretty good shape. He's 5'9", 245 pounds. It's like, unless this guy is super jacked, yeah. So even
NFL
if he is,
fullback.
there's no way he doesn't have sleep apnea, right? Anyone with those dimensions has sleep apnea, even if it's all muscle.
Oh, yeah.
There's no way, because if it's all muscle, his neck is just gigantic and his chest is huge. So,
Right.
but he's not. He's not this also. He's like, he carries it well, but he's clearly overweight, not getting a lot of exercise, living at elevation. So all these things. Does have sleep apnea, not compliant with his mask. So all these things are driving it. And he's not having any symptoms. He feels fine. So, but again, you have this scary looking number. It's like, man, what do you do? What do you do with that number? Do you actually have him? Do you actually have him donate at a point here? It's like, you're just covering your own ass because you're worried about it. If something happens to this guy and his number's that high, he's like, man, that's doc.
Yeah, you get blamed instantly.
So
Blamed.
that's the advice I gave her too. Like, man, if you want to have this guy do a one-time donation just to kind of set things back in line, and now we're going to make some lifestyle and treatment adjustments, that's fine. But the bloodletting is not a good long-term plan. It's gonna bounce back anyway. He's going to end up tanking his ferritin. He's going to feel like garbage. So he needs to fix a lot of things and see what to do. I don't know. How would you guys handle a guy like that? What do you do with him?
Yeah,
We know
hypoxia.
that.
Yeah, it's my first thought anytime it's, seems to be higher than what I would expect. And so untreated sleep apnea is probably, we uncover it all the time with that. It just kind of exposes it. And then, hydration can move it a little bit. If they're a little dehydrated, it's like, oh, let's just recheck, drink 3 bottles of water, see if that dilutes it a little bit. But if that's the way they walk around all the time, I don't want to just artificially lower it just by some that, unless they just truly just need to drink more fluids, which vast majority of people do. Throw some electrolytes in there and help too. And then I try and get them to get some low intensity, steady state cardio, some zone
Hmm.
two to help. Make sure they hadn't started smoking on me, if it's a follow
Hmm.
up, just to make sure that's not the case. And, as long as it's in a thing where providers also, the docs get more worried, as long as their platelets are fine, I'm not too worried, and secondary erythrocytosis from testosterone therapy, there's no platelet dysfunction. And so the platelets aren't stuck, and sticky like it is in polycythemia vera, which is more of a blood cancer and does need better, tighter hematocrit control because the platelets are stuck and they are at risk for increased thromboembolism and stuff. And so that's a different topic, but it gets extrapolated to testosterone therapy all the time. And so that's somewhat that conversation I have, but managing that hematocrit itself, sleep apnea is probably the biggest lever to pull on it. And I'm glad they're already on cream because I do have some guys who just seem to have a bigger response to injection, and I'll switch them to cream, and sometimes that manages it pretty well, or just smaller, more frequent injections. And I do anecdotally seem that sub-Q injections seem to have a less impact on it. And so if they're doing IM, I'll have them trial sub-Q just to see if that makes a difference if they don't want to give cream a option. But sub-Q need to be frequent enough to where they're not injecting this huge volume of oil. But that's kind of my kind of stair step, and make sure they're not smoking or vaping along it. But that dude, his baseline may have been 58, 59, just living at elevation. And, that's somewhat of an acceptable increase at that point. But what do you think, Justin? What are your kind of levers that you're looking at?
It begs the question. We know that even like thiazide diuretics can increase it. We know that SGLT2s can increase
Mhm.
secondary erythrocytosis. We know that, but there's no literature to support TPs or therapeutic phlebotomies for those people that experience that. There's not. If you look at most conditions that cause secondary, there's not literature to support that there's a certain cutoff. I think there is a lot of alarmist going on, especially when it's 51, 52. I mean, like, hell, the Endocrine Society, Canadian Urological Society, American Urological Society, even all those are like, yeah, 54, 55, whatever, not really a big deal. And then they say, okay, maybe intervene at that point. But typically, if they do have a pretty pronounced jump in the hematocrit, we know there's a lot of other factors going on, man. There is. It's very rarely does it go from like 48 to 58. I mean, there's multiple contributing things going on at that point. But yeah, cardiovascular endurance, that's usually what I see is a correlation. The more out of shape you are, the more it's going to go up. I mean, it makes sense. What do red blood cells do? They traffic oxygen. If your cardiovascular economy is practically zero, your body's going to compensate. It's going to make more red blood cells to compensate for the fact that you have no cardiovascular efficiency. So that's one thing we see. Always trying to encourage people to do cardio. Obviously, obviously the average adult male is like, ah, that's gay. I ain't doing that. They think it's pretty lame. They're like, I'd rather just lift weights. I'm like, you can do both.
Yeah,
There's
it
no
seems
rule
like
against doing
one
both. It's
extreme
not
or
going to
the
affect
other
you.
for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, it complements your weight training. You're going to increase your mitochondrial density of your muscles. They're going to be more efficient. It'll make you more better athlete, better well-rounded. You recover faster, but they don't like doing that. Yeah, I think honestly, it's a multifaceted approach. I think the high hematocrit's kind of like the high estrogen thing. It's just another place to do some kind of alarmist reflexive intervention, whether it's throw some more scripts at them or throw some more this or that at patients. When When in reality, a lot of times the onus is on the patient to do the things they should be doing. I feel like as more and more folks in the TRT space, like y'all, like us, get in this space, it's a lot of it comes down to more just life coaching. It's health coaching. The hormones, it makes a fraction of what we do, but in the reality, we're drilling what we're teaching men what they need to be doing, and that's cook your own meals, get sleep, exercise. We drill those things. Those are things we drill. You're not going to hear that from big box private equity owned clinics. You're not. You're just going to be an algorithm. That's all you're going to do is follow an algorithm. If your level's this, they give you this. If it's levels this, they give you this. That's it. Don't even see your provider. No. So I think that it's becoming more or less the TPs, the nastrozols. That's just it's a lack of communication from the provider or lack of commitment from the provider wanting to actually help the patient do what they should be doing, and that's to change their lifestyle at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, it's those are awesome points, man. It rings so true. I'm nodding my head the whole time here, because part of it too is, I didn't look at get into this line of medicine and think, hey, I want to open up a testosterone clinic, or look and say, hey, what's a service line I can add that would be a good seller? I want to tack this on to my to my Botox sales. If I could add hormones.
That's what it's becoming, though. It's just becoming just a little.
It is.
Yeah,
It
just a
is.
little
That's
side
what you
piece
need
for
to.
most
You need
clinics.
to. Yeah, vet your providers a little bit. Not that there aren't folks who are doing both of those that are passionate about both. I mean, there's of course, not everything's that cut and dry. So not everyone. But yeah, to me, I mean, I looked at it, what can I do? If I want a longevity practice, I want to increase health span. I want people to be, healthy, happy, get the most out of their time on this planet. And hormones are just happening one of those big levers, and it's a gateway to talk about this other stuff. Every one of my visits, we talk about how's your body weight, how's your body composition, how's your sleep, how's your stress, how's your training, how's your diet, all of it. It all comes together. And as we get further down the road, the hormones are dialed in and stable. We're a couple of years into it. We're talking about those other things way more than the hormones, and it becomes
Yep.
that's the bigger thing. And the other side of that too, I even tell guys, it's a little extreme, but I'll tell them, the hormones aren't going to work without the lifestyle stuff. If you're not doing this, just don't waste your time. It's just not going to, you're not
Yeah,
going
it's
to
a
get the
partnership.
effect you want. It all kind of goes together. Interesting. You were saying too, back to that, the cardiovascular helping with with the hemoglobin and the hematocrit. I'll explain it to guys. There's something called sports anemia, right? You'll see these, extreme endurance athletes. They actually get sports anemia. They get this dilution effect, so the hemoglobin and hematocrit is pretty low, so they look anemic on paper. So I tell them, we're not trying to get to there, but if we can split the difference, get you some zone 2 cardio even 3-4 times a week, you're not going to get that super extreme effect where now you have this alarming numbers looking the other way, but you can knock a few points off for sure. You get the hemoglobin and hematocrit down a bit, without a doubt.
Yeah, it expands plasma volume and everything. And so, and I kind of wanted to even touch on ferritin a little bit, just because I don't know, it probably doesn't ring that well with a lot of guys, but like I'll say females come in, of course, with menstrual cycles, they have a cycle every month and they bleed a little bit. We'll have women come in, thinking that it's their hormones out of whack and everything. We check a ferritin and it's 5, and all we do is we get their iron back up, and they don't need hormones. That what they are now fixed. They can walk around the block without getting short of breath or running out of energy, and so they do a lot better. And so it's avoiding that with these guys. And testosterone does typically gobble up some ferritin anyways, just
It
because
does,
it makes
sure.
you use some. And so I've even caught a few that are low that I don't think it's from a chronic bleed. I don't think it's because they're over donating. It's just because I think they are just using their resources. And so kind of getting it back up with those guys, or just reiterating, hey, it's okay to eat some red meat, cook in cast iron, maybe even try some iron bisglycinate if we need. They do feel better, and then they get more out of their testosterone. And so I was just going to touch on that, but also kind of like y'all are saying, I was really hammering it with guys because I could tell the guys that had the lifestyle stuff in place or were doing it were getting better outcomes with their testosterone. And so that's where I was like, of course I want the best outcomes for every guy. And so it was like, instead of just like, again, here's this protocol, see you later, good luck. It's like, hey, do this. And, that's somewhat reflects more positively on us as a clinic. I'm like, hey, we're getting good outcomes. I'm moving more. Mason asked about my sleep, which I've never had a doctor asks about that, or if he checks in on the mental health, to make sure
Mhm.
stress management, make sure they don't need resources for,
Mhm.
therapy and that kind of stuff. And
Oh yeah.
then it
Oh yeah.
just kind of builds the trust overall a little bit more. And maybe they will disclose a little bit more on, that they are struggling somewhere. And then we can get them that. And then it's that way the mental health can be worked on. It adds other people to their team if they need as well. So again, I think it's just taking care of the whole person. Hormones are a great lever, but hitting that other stuff, they're just going to have better outcomes as a whole.
Oh yeah, it's another good reason to have someone who's a qualified health professional help manage your hormones instead of some online
What? Not your
coach.
AC guy? Your HVAC guy?
Yeah, right. Yeah, you're online. I'm a certified online coach. I took a course. I'm a personal trainer. I know about hormones, and you might know about hormones, but how much do you know about medicine in general? Because things happen that not everything is caused by hormones or fixed by hormones. And as we're talking, like, whoa, let's see some red flags here, man. Let's get some things checked. Because you find things, like you said, you find a GI bleed, you find someone with a cancer. Sometimes you find some unfortunate stuff. But if you don't have someone with a little experience and knows what their, what some of these red flags are, things get missed. You don't want to, again, you don't want your AC guy managing your TRT probably.
Yeah, we found, I mean, 5 to 10 cancers at least, just with the labs and stuff and monitoring. And then it does come just experience of taking care of people. People are not just ones and zeros and numbers
No,
on a
not just
lab sheet.
labs.
Yeah.
We're
So you have to be able to take care of the person as a whole, and that comes with time and multiple presentations and doing the reps. And we all have backgrounds that aren't just hormones, or kind of like y'all said, it wasn't just the med spa that saw that this is a market, so they opened up that line, and then they found a new grad MP saying like, oh, here's a protocol I took from my weekend hormone course. It's like, no, we all had careers taking care of people prior, and that gave us this unique formal, experience ball to take care of these people and get them better outcomes and work with them along the way, meeting them where they're at, and then also giving them realistic expectations, not kind of overselling a lot of this stuff, which kind of makes it boring and makes me a bad salesman overall, but it helps me sleep better at night.
No, the longer I do this, the more I realize the hormones are just a piece of the practice. The other 90% is relationships. That's what it comes down to. Just, at least that's what I've noticed. The way, kind of how we do it. I'm sure y'all run similar. It's about building that relationship with the patient. It's not about just churning them in, churning them out, getting the sale, sign them on a 5-year contract, and deuces. I'll see you in 6 months. No, we hit all those things. Train, nutrition, all that, man. We refer people to therapists, counselors if they need it, grief counselors. We did somebody that to one last week alone. So again, it's about, I think it's truly about the relationships we build with people. And I think that's what makes folks like us special, especially in an industry that's getting so inundated with fly-by-night clinics, and they took a course and now they're opening type deal. So I think that's what really sets us apart. And people, I think our patients really appreciate that, and I think our recidivism shows.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. Nothing is purely unselfish because it feels good. It feels good to help people, and it feels good to have people be satisfied like that. But we also, and part of that comes from we just take some extra time too. I hear this every day. Like, man, no one's ever taken the time to go through whatever it might be, my labs, my non-hormone related condition, whatever it might be. And like even my PCP or my specialist didn't go into this. Like, well, because they have a 10-minute time slot scheduled for you. We have an hour. We talked about
Yeah.
hormones. You have some other health thing you want to talk about. I'm not your PCP, but it doesn't mean we can't. Let's talk. Maybe I'm not gonna treat the thing, but I can get you in the right direction for damn sure. So yeah, there's definitely a huge thing with that with the rapport. I think that's great for us too, man. It's like having a bunch of friends that you help them manage their health and get them feeling better, and you catch up every couple months or in between with a message. It's awesome, man. You get a lot of nice new people to get to meet.
So we're all blessed folks, man.
Oh,
We're all
yeah.
blessed to be
Good
doing what we
stuff.
love doing.
Yeah, I'm so thankful that people even entrust us to even come to us. It is a very rewarding position. People come whenever they're not feeling good, and luckily we have a bag of tools to help fix them and hopefully get them in the right way. and we're just looking for the best outcomes for every patient. And again, clinics like ours provide that individual approach, that precision approach, instead of just blanket protocols and hope for the best.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're nearing in. I mean, we're about an hour and 20 minutes in, so I'll let y'all go so that I don't keep y'all all day. We could chat all day, I'm sure, but
That's
y'all have
been
been
great.
killing it online. Can y'all drop y'all's contacts where people can find y'all so that they can follow y'all's stuff? Because y'all both provide great content for everybody.
Yeah, sure, sure. So on all the social medias anywhere at Men's Healthspan. So menshealthspan.com is my website. I have the YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all those places. Try to put up some frequent clips and some interviews on YouTube. Been doing more and more lives too. Want to get, Mason's been on a bunch. Justin, we need to loop you in on some of those lives too. I think folks have told me they really like that format with a topic and some
Sure.
Q&A. But yeah, so
Yeah.
that's where you could find me. Place in there you could even schedule a consult to have a chat and see if we're a good fit. But yeah, happy to talk to you guys if you have questions.
Yeah, y'all can find us. Our username for any social media platform is at the Restore Clinic. Simple as that. Can't go wrong with it. Hell, just search it. So at the Restore Clinic, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, yada yada yada. I don't have Snapchat.
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody even uses that anymore. I don't know if that's still a thing. Maybe 15 years ago, but most of our content's on YouTube or TikTok, though. That's where we just love making videos. Love just shooting the shit, talking, making videos.
Yeah, y'all been killing it. Y'all's content's great, and I appreciate the info y'all
Hey,
provide
thanks, man.
to the community overall.
Thank
Y'all
you.
do good, and I'll link them in the description, and the YouTubes will be connected once we post this. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all coming out, taking the time
Love
to
it.
No,
chat.
this is a
I
lot of
mean,
fun. I love it. I love it. And
conversations
yeah,
were
and your
great. So
and your catalog's it's
Hey,
huge,
man.
Mason. I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to catch up with the amount of stuff you have on there, man. On
yeah,
your YouTube.
You put on a crap ton of stuff, man.
I was
Both of y'all,
hammering it
actually.
there
You're
for a
killing it,
little
man.
bit. I slowed down because I was just kind of I actually said most of the things I know how to say. So now it's just trying to say it in different ways. And so I figure I'll just start doing it through this longer form with people or lives. And then if they want more info, they can dial through the catalog. Justin has, I mean, years of stuff, which has been awesome as well. So you got all kinds of stuff. You have a good big
We started in like
catalog too.
2019. We got a,
Was it? I
I
meant
mean,
to ask
yeah.
this whole time when you started because
Oh man, that long ago, huh?
again, I think I stumbled in your stuff in about 2021 whenever I started, and so I know it was at least since then.
Yeah, it's about 2019 is when we really started. 2020 is when I joined TikTok, and it was just my nurse at the time was like, "Why don't you just do this?" I was like, "TikTok? Isn't that for kids, like teenagers?" She's like, "Just do it." Honestly, it's been one of the best levers to pull for the business was TikTok of all things. But everybody's
Nice.
on there now. But
Yeah.
it's become the most popular platform, that and YouTube. So,
Yeah,
but we just like making content.
I'm the oldest guy on TikTok. I've verified it.
I actually follow this one dude named Grandpa Gamer. He's like an 80-year-old
Nice.
gamer.
That's
He's like,
awesome.
and he's always playing Call of Duty and talking shit to teenagers. I like the dude.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome. I like that.
Have to look him
Awesome.
up.
Well, thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. We'll do
All
this
right, guys.
again. Yeah, y'all be. We'll do some lives and stuff, and we'll keep people posted on how y'all are doing as well.
I love it. I love it.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Sounds good.
All
Good
right.
hanging with you guys. Talk soon.
Yep. Talk soon.